We've seen no shortage of layoffs this year, with large employers continuing to provide severance notices to Wall Street. And if you've been impacted by a reduction in force, then my condolences to you. Hang in there and make sure you watch my video on the 8 things that you can do during this transition period to put you in the best spot to find your next job. But the truth is, getting laid off can actually be a blessing in disguise, and there are several reasons that you might discover in hindsight that would lead you to be thankful you got a severance in these circumstances. There are things that you might not have thought of now, but will provide you with a sense of relief once you realize them. I'll go over these 3 particular topics today on Daniel's Brew. Welcome back to Daniel's Brew, where I talk career development and personal finance. The first reason why a layoff might be a good thing for you is that you are probably in a role or a function that was not seen as crucial or vital in the organization. Now, this might be a bit hard to hear since we all work so hard in our positions, but sometimes we find ourselves in companies or organizations where a particular function just isn't valued as much as we think it should be. For example, company brand and marketing is immensely important at places like Nike or Apple. But it may not be as important at a large utility company that relies on city or local government contracts to bring in revenue. In that case, these companies would shift focus to be more inclined towards sales or account management rather than brand management. The key is, no matter what company you work for, you always want to be close to the core of what that company does, or in the new growth sector of that company that brings innovation. And if you find yourself not in one of these areas, it likely means that you could probably find a better company in which to grow and develop your functional role, one that would provide greater scope, greater challenge, and opportunity for you to grow and learn. So if you get separated from a company where your function isn't prominent, this is probably a great push for you to seek out and find a more suitable organization to match your functional discipline, leading to an environment that's more conducive to your career advancement and subsequent promotions. Secondly, even if you were to survive a large round of layoffs from your organization, the aftermath of such an event is rarely smooth and seamless. The separation of roles and colleagues and the work that's left behind undoubtedly creates a moment of disorganization within your company, one that usually takes some painful restructuring to correct. Due to the fact that layoffs have to be organized and executed with a degree of confidentiality, even department leads may not be privy to some of the changes before they happen. As a result, from my experiences, I've seen countless scrambles from functional heads to business unit leaders, all trying to reestablish their team compositions to adapt to the wake that these rifts have created. This often leads to those survivors taking on increased workloads for the time being and stretching into adjacent functional responsibilities until a more permanent solution can be implemented. The other side effect of remaining through a layoff is that you'll be subject to whatever organizational changes are enacted by your leadership. What's really funny about large corporations is that when they have a reduction in force, the work that the organization had never really decreases in proportion to the amount of the positions that were eliminated. In other words, leaders will always ask you to do more with less and expect you to step up and fill in the gaps. And in certain cases, this means that you might be reassigned into a different department with a new manager and even have the scope of your role drastically changed. If you're unlucky, you could discover that you're in a situation where you're at the mercy of a poor manager or a career trajectory that no longer aligns with your future aspirations. So now you're in the unfortunate position of either trying to fight to change your scope into something more in line with your career path, or finding a new role either internally or at an external company, all while dealing with the new changes in your work environment. And if you wanted to leave the company, in this circumstance, you'd likely not have the option to receive a severance. Sometimes being a layoff survivor may be more stressful than being released. And lastly, if you are already unhappy with your current job and looking for an opportunity to pivot into something else, a layoff actually provides you the perfect avenue to take some time to collect yourself and the leeway to seek out new jobs without the stress of maintaining your current job responsibilities. In fact, when you get riffed, companies typically provide career transition services to help you accelerate your chances of finding a new job. These services normally include career consultations to rediscover your appropriate career path, resume writing services to accurately reflect your background and work accomplishments, and placement services that help to provide warm introductions to hiring companies and hiring managers. If this applies to you, be sure you watch my video on the 8 things that you should do when you get laid off to ensure that you're doing everything you need to do to be ready to accept that next new challenge in your career whenever it comes. Remember, in all things that happen in your career, it's a matter of perspective. From my experience, every door that's closed for me has always opened up to a new door of bigger and better opportunity. I believe in that for myself, and I believe in that for all of you as well. If you'd like to hear my thoughts on other career development topics, be sure you check out my Modern Career playlist down below in the description section of this video. And if you're not a subscriber, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below and make sure you turn on notifications so that you're alerted whenever I drop future videos like this one. And with that, thanks for joining me today on Daniel's Brew, and good luck out there.